All right. So I just wanted to react to this clip, I guess, or I should say like this 10-minute clip of Michi mentioning something about her health problems. Just because, like I've mentioned before, I am a healthcare professional. I wanted to know exactly what's going on. So Pharaoh immediately joining us. Michi said her blood pressure was minus 90. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So I was like, okay, I'm going to save this for our reactions here. We'll talk more as we I'll pause.
I have low blood pressure and my heartbeat is irregular.
Okay.
But the doctor said, because they didn't give me a high dose, they gave me like a smaller dose to try first. I don't know. I was a little bit like nervous. I'm listen, the doctor said it's fine. Did you tell them that? Yes, of course they know that because they always check my vitals. Right?
Okay.
They know. I always have I have very low blood pressure. Not blood pressure, sorry, not blood pressure. See, is it blood pressure? The thing they pump on your arm.
Yes,
Minus
that's
90 out of 55 usually.
90. Okay. All right. So, blood pressure 90. Oh God. 90 out of 55. Okay. That's low. I don't know how old Michi is. I don't know. But 90 over 55 usually is unusually low. I mean, you can still be healthy and have that kind of low blood pressure, but if you have, like you said at the beginning, like an irregular heartbeat, I'm like a little concerned about that. Don't know what it means.
Not heartbeat. The thing they pump on
Low
the arm thing.
blood pressure, yeah.
Pressure. Is that blood pressure? Oh yeah, that's blood pressure. Okay. I have low blood pressure and I also have arrhythmic, like my heartbeat is not the most stable. But I don't know.
Oh, fun.
We can try it out. Either way, new drugs. Hopefully it'll be fine. I'm not gonna die. Worst case, I might feel like shit. But I'm not gonna die. That's for sure. I already made sure with the doctor. I'm like, I'm not gonna die, right? And he's like, yeah, you're not gonna die. Don't worry about it. I was like,
hey,
cool.
Michi, look at the
Wait, what?
girl. If you have minus blood pressure, you would not be here right now.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. It's really early.
Minus 90. No, I said 90. 90 over 55. Not minus 90.
It's like really low, sweetie. That's like
Yeah.
really low.
Okay.
But I've had that for like.
Okay, so for context, that's Pharaoh, I believe. Yeah, I think in the title it says there on the bottom there. Pharaoh is one of her mods. I actually follow him on Twitch. He's actually a pretty chill dude. I just can never catch up on any of the streams themselves. So, but yeah, he's a mod for Michi, and so I think he's also mentioned he's worked in healthcare related situations. I don't know. He doesn't want to go into details. And obviously that makes sense because as someone who actually does work in healthcare field, there's a fine balance of like releasing that much information out, you know?
Like years.
Right, I know, because you have your health problems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like taking a medication that could potentially lower your heart rate. when
You
your
should
blood
ask your
pressure
mom
is
to come
already,
over
like,
when you have it for the first time,
super low, is
so she can
mildly
take care of the side
concerning.
effect.
There are these things called second opinions. Have you heard of them before? Could you maybe give a
yeah.
second opinion?
I would
before you
highly
take a
agree with that,
medication lowers?
especially
listen,
if her
I'm not a
blood
doctor.
pressure is so.
This is not medical advice. I have just worked in medical adjacent fields.
Thanks, JK00215.
And I know what
for
the
the
common
7
layman
resub.
knows about how blood pressure works and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't take a doctor's degree to know, hey, your blood pressure's sounding a little low, sweetie. maybe I'm just saying, ask somebody that knows more than I do, and maybe somebody other than this one. Is this the same doctor that gave you the other medication that fucks you all the way up?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
okay, so this is the same doctor that likes to play, haha, what does medication do to funny anime girl?
It's
Right?
I'm a guinea pig, brother. I swear to God, they're
Okay.
like, try this and try that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Why not? No. Actually, no. Yes, there is like medications that we can give to a fixed blood pressure. There is also medications to fix an irregular heart rate. There are side effects to those ones, and there are also medications dedicated to do both to fix both of those things. I think I might know what the medication she might be talking about is. If it is what it is, then if it's the one that does both of those things, then we should work on not doing that, and maybe definitely listening to Pharaoh, getting that second opinion on that. Like, for real. Like, I genuinely would be concerned right now, especially what kind of medication, especially if she's talking about it on stream. I'm just like, I hope did we not see somebody die on stream or anything like that. I know that like it's probably a little bit more safer than that, and I'm glad that she has like a support system around her to make sure that she doesn't just jump into it right away, especially with your health kind of situation. It's kind of nerve-wracking to see her just casually be like, yeah, this medication could do something to me. And as somebody who does work in the medical field, it's terrifying. It is. I'm a little, terrified for her right now. I wonder if they'll mention the drug. Like,
it's
genuinely,
called practicing medicine for a reason, chat. Sweetie, please ask another doctor just to make sure, please. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not trying to scare you or anything crazy, but it just seems
Low key, I
Yeah,
was a bit
doctors-
nervous though. Like that's why I didn't take it yesterday.
Doctors are not always right. They are not always right. I've
This
had
is
my
true, this is
experiences in my
true.
life.
This is true. Sometimes doctors might make mistakes, but we try to, as a nurse, I should say, I have seen doctors make mistakes or just misinterpreted things before in the past. It does happen. That's why, like he said, it's important to get a second opinion. As a nurse, I have seen firsthand when someone do something correctly or misinterpret something, and before we even stepped any further, I had to intervene and say, hey, doc, let's not do this med because of this XYZ thing will happen. And I don't want this to happen to that said patient. So, yeah. I'm with Pharaoh on this one, especially with my experience with medications. I don't know the specific details of it. I'm still waiting. I'm hoping that they talk about the drug at some point. Kind of nice. But, yeah, kind of listen to Pharaoh. And I'm glad that this chatter here, who is it, Night VT, says listen to Pharaoh, please.
With doctors, that I can promise you, especially when it comes to medication, that getting a second opinion is really a valid and honestly a very responsible approach when it comes to taking something that has the effect of lowering your heart rate when your blood pressure is already low. I mean, I just think that's just safe. Play it on the safe side. Because it's one of those deals where you go to sleep, you're not going to necessarily know that your blood pressure is dropping.
Yeah,
to the
exactly.
point where you're not going to wake back up again. It's kind of how that works.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous at first.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think, sweetie, sometimes you really need to listen to your instincts.
Because I've never had I do take meds that do that. Like one of the reasons why I have like lower, I don't know if there's an actual reason, but I do take meds because I do have mental problems, right? So the meds that I take do calm me down. It does kind of like slow down, not too much, it just slows down, and I take that daily. So I was like, that's why I asked them, I was like, is it okay because I take this? And they're like, yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah,
but the fact is that should be, they say inshallah,
yeah.
So she does take medications that affect her mental health, and that can vary. Like there's quite a few meds I can think of off the top of my head that could affect that. There are ones that also excuse me, affect like the blood pressure in certain ways and relax you. There are some that affect your nerves, like gabapentin. If I remember, gabapentin can also, I think I've seen gabapentin tried to be used for health issues too as well. I don't remember if it's a while, but there are other medications that help with like anxiety and mental health problems, depending on what she has. My first guess would be something like something anxiety related, and that could easily also affect blood pressure, heart rate, because then it like physiologically will calm you down but you'll still have like the mental thoughts possibly racing through your head that can elevate to that. So combining that with like blood pressure and heart rate medication with that can easily drop something like that really low, especially if you're very, very sensitive to it and you're not used to those medications. So yeah, reintroductions to that is all over the place, but it's so hard to, say anything because since it's so vague and they haven't actually mentioned any meds, it's hard for me to base off of it. But just by just the sounds of these little bits of experiences, I'm just like, please don't do this. Please, like, he's right. Like Pharaoh says, like, he's right. He really doesn't need a second opinion,
Yeah, yeah.
Insya
I'm
Allah,
just,
nggak apa-apa. And insya
I'm
Allah
just
is not good
saying.
enough, you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying a second opinion is not
Before
an
this stream, Michi late,
unreasonable
haha,
thing. In
she's
this
just
situation.
sleeping
I
in.
mean, I
After
don't know.
this
Again,
stream, Michi
not a doctor,
late.
not medical
Oh God, is
advice,
she still
etc., so on and
sleeping?
so
Michi
forth.
Mochi
But
shock.
yeah, right. He said it to 50,
As someone who recently got diagnosed with high BP 207
Oh my God.
high
Oh,
BP
shit.
23,
I'm
Wait,
just saying.
what?
bad,
I
yes, I
mean,
know. I
Wait,
got
that
my
BP is
medicine.
so
Wait, what? Someone who recently got diagnosed with a high blood pressure, 207 over 123. Holy shit. I got my meds slowly adjusted because they didn't want to risk me going too low. So I did get a second opinion. Not a doctor though. Yeah. So if you're in that territory, you're like stroke. You're like in high risk of stroke territory. It's hard to say anything, but like for someone like me who has seen a lot in the field, yeah, that's really high. Glad that person got blood pressure medications done. Usually we'll do it inside the inpatient setting to make sure that they are okay first before we go any further, and make sure that we don't titrate them too hard. Sometimes we'll start them off very tiny, see how it affects. And then if it works, then it works. And we just kind of try to build maintenance around that. So good for that person. I don't know about Michi. I don't know what her situation is with the blood pressure medication that she has, or not blood pressure, I should say.
So
Heart rate
high.
meds. I'm a little scared about that.
It's really not. Like 90 over
I'd also
120
get a
is like
second opinion.
is really like a
Not a doctor,
normal
though.
adult blood pressure.
Wait, what?
Is 90 over 120 is I mean my
He got that backwards. It's technically 120 over 90, but I kind of get what he's saying. Yeah. It's like 120 over 80 is more like it, a little bit more normal,
runs
but
a little
yeah,
high. I think I'm
it
usually like
varies.
90 over like 150 or 160 or something like that, which is a little high, but
Oh.
not like dangerously high. Given my age and the fact that I could really spend some more time working out, it's really not that bad. But yeah, I mean, doctors get I've had doctors say, "Here, take this pill," and then wound up in the emergency room like 45 minutes later when my throat was closing up due to an allergic reaction. So yeah.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing too. That's other reasons why like some people end up staying in the hospital when they start new medications like that. Is that to make sure that when they start with those pills or medications that they don't have an allergic reaction to those medications. I've seen many times where it's like, whether it's not just related to blood pressure, but it could literally be anything. Like I've had patients who were given some standard antibiotics and had never really been exposed to those antibiotics until that day or whatever. And then we come to find out that, oh yeah, they're actually allergic to it because then they got hives all over them or whatever. And so those are some of those cases where we want like if they are in the hospital already and we're trying to start a new regimen on them, we might hold on to them for like an extra night, just to make sure that whatever medication that they're taking is like not gonna cause a reaction, if you will, and there's always like certain time frames that we always keep an eye for those kind of things. So yeah.
It's like I'm always, me personally, this is just my I guess you could say my prejudice perhaps when it comes to doctors is that when it comes to them handing me a pill, I do a whole lot of research on my own, and I'm really inclined to get at least a second opinion before I take said pill, because once you take it, it's inside of you, and now you just got to roll with whatever it does to you.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. It is also part of like the nurse's job and medical staff to try to do our best to educate them so that nothing like actually bad like actually happens, or like at least keep an eye out for signs and symptoms of those things. Because one of those discussions is always like one medication might work for like 100 people, but it might not work for you. And Pharaoh's not wrong in that, you know, due to, you know, allergic reactions and such like that, just from from what he had mentioned earlier. That's kind of like, I applaud him for taking the time to do the research. A lot of people that we do take care of tend to maybe not, or a lot of people put a lot of faith and trust into our medical professionals. And so that's why, like, even for myself, I try to do my best to do any sort of explanations with patients to, you know, make sure that they fully understand, you know, what the medication, what is it for, what are they looking out for, and what things they should be worried about or looking for, you know. And that's why, you know, we do what we do. We try to do our due diligence when it comes to starting any new regimens like that, or, you know, monitoring anybody.
So,
True.
you know, that's just me. I expound on, you know, I'm not saying doctors are always wrong, but the nice thing about the advent of the internet is that you can do a little research, you know, and you can see maybe what other people have had to say about a certain medication or whatever, like what kind of feedback people have given about it and stuff like that. So it's, I mean, you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword in that regard. Some people over research in that regard, but at the same time, you know, it's always best to do what's best for yourself and always arm yourself. And in this case, like what Pharaoh's saying is true. Just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, or like what you know, medication you're taking, and you fully understand what to expect. Yeah, it's those kind of things.
I'm not
I agree.
not trying to scare you or anything. It's just you're sitting here talking about
No,
you're
I
just sitting
agree
here talking
though.
about medication that's going to lower your already low heart rate. And I'm like, girl,
Oh.
if it gets much lower, you're going to be more accurate IRL Michi to your model. I mean, like,
Oh my god, I remembered one time I had like, this was once upon a time in a dream. I had a heart rate monitor, and my heart rate like was at 70 or something. It was like 70, and then it keeps going like 70, 60, 70, 60. And when I'm shocked, it goes to like 90 to 100, and it goes
Right.
all the way back down to 60. And I remember chat being like, is your heart rate monitor okay? Why does it keep going to 60? And it keeps
70 and 60 are technically normal. Yeah, like your heart rate can be like between 60 and 70 and be normal. When you get shocked or you freak out, you know, you go fight or flight, technically can jump to 100, and then it can calm down slowly once you're done. Maybe my experience, like I'm kind of used to seeing that kind of reaction. Maybe it's just desensitized for me.
going like lower and lower, and I'm like, yeah.
You playing
Wait, like how low are we talking? Like 50, like 50s? Like if we're talking 50, then it's like, okay, maybe we have to have a conversation, but 60 and 70 is fine. As I say that, as I cough out a lung.
a horror game with a heart rate monitor would probably be kind of concerning for everybody, is because
Well, if you're playing a horror game,
far off from that, like like you put on the heart rate monitor, base heart rate is like 50, and everybody's like, "Girl, you are dying." what do you? She gets scared. Heart rate goes to 90.
It's better now though. Like my heart is better now, but
Right.
I remember the first time I had to have like a machine, right, hooked up to make sure my heart rate doesn't drop too much, because that's like apparently symptoms of like a stroke or something like that. So I have to have that on. The moment they clicked it on, it started beeping, because it was like beep beep beep, and I was like, oh yeah, that's normal. And they're like, are you feeling okay? And I'm like, yeah. I think it was at 50
sweetie,
something.
If every time they attach the machine to you, it starts calling for them to hit you with the fucking paddles, right? Like if the machine comes on and alert,
This
please
is years
begin
ago
CPR
though. I'm
now.
better now.
Alert.
This was years and years and years ago. So I'm so much better now. But back then, I
I'm
remember
glad
they
you're
were like,
better.
I'm gonna
Right.
turn it on, and then it started beep beep beep, and they're like, oh, let me reset it, and then they turn it on. It's like beep beep beep, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. When you hook up a heart monitor, technically by default, it actually does do the beeps. It does monitor, depending on if it's a portable or whatever. But heart rate of 50, depending on how young she was or how healthy she was, that's kind of normal. But I could see why if she was like starting to 40s and it was like looking awkward. I think like the key thing is like context of like seeing everything in picture, especially because my experience is like I would need to know like, okay, what did it look like, since she did mention arrhythmia. So if she was arrhythmic with like a heart rate of like 50s, there are a few things I could think of now immediately that I'm like, oh, there's a few things in my head that I'm like, oh yeah, there's probably a good reason why people were kind of panicking when they saw those kind of things. So yeah, I don't know. They haven't mentioned the medication at all. I'm a little concerned whatever she's taking and whatever that doctor's doing. If I ever have a chance to like talk to Michi ever, it would be really cool to kind of like see what's going on and, you know, kind of have like an outsider's perspective kind of going in and like maybe like help in some way or form. But I know that I guess she's had health issues in the past and I do wish her the best. Is there anything I'm missing at this last part?
Gimana ya?
They hook her up to the machine and it alerts every nurse on the floor. They all come running with the crash cart because they think she's about to.
And I'm just like,
Yeah,
sorry, bro, I was sleeping.
Let's
Whoa.
get a second opinion on the new medication. Oh my god! Why, Jesus?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't
Okay. So, yeah. I have a feeling with her dysrhythmia that she has going on, I think I know what's happening. I wonder if she has a pacemaker. Just out of curiosity, if she has like a pacemaker, it's like an artificial way of essentially stimulating your heartbeat in a way. It's like the layman's quick explanation for that. And there was a few other things I would love to ask her if that actually did pop up. If we could ever have a conversation about that, whether it be live on stream or, you know, off camera or whatever. But seeing this clip, I was just like, okay. I hope that she does take what Pharaoh says to heart. if anybody knows what ended up actually happening there, let me know. I would love to hear, and if she ever did mention what it was, it'd be really cool. So yeah, that's a little bit of scary thought time. So yeah, that's a little concerning for me. I hope she gets well. Yeah.